Welcome to Obstacle Running Adventures.
Over the last 7 years, we have consistently released weekly episodes focusing on
obstacle course racing, running, and other adventures.
You'll hear interviews, event recaps, conversations about our sport,
quick news updates about happenings in our community.
And now, here are your hosts,
Standing on the corner,
Michael Stefano and Caitlin Ritter.
Hey guys, it's Michael Stefano.
And Caitlin Ritter.
And Caitlin, how was your weekend?
I got strep throat for the first time in my life.
Yeah, she had it for a full 2 weeks before she went to see a doctor.
Guys, that's really dangerous.
Yes, it is. But it was weird because for you it was a cough. For me, who had strep like 10 plus times when I was a kid, never a cough, just a horribly sore throat, so.
Right, and I thought my sore throat came from the cough, not the cough from the sore throat.
Yeah. But also it was Alex and Olivia's wedding.
Yes.
For long-time listeners may remember Alex. He was one of the original 4 hosts, which did not last long whatsoever.
You know what's so weird? I was not an original host.
Yes, you were.
I wasn't.
Yes, you were.
Oh, I don't remember that.
It was me, you, CJ, and Alex. Episode 1.
Okay.
Wow, you
never
have
mind.
no idea.
I take that back. Shout out Mudgear. Use code ADVENTURE for 15% off your next Mudgear purchase. And Caterpie, use code OCRReport20 for 20% off your next Caterpie purchase.
Perfect. It's not the first episode of the month, but we are going to thank the $5+ Patreon supporters.
Jason Dupree, who celebrates his birthday today. Samantha Thompson, Dave Claxton, Bradley Keel, Charlotte Engelman, Aaron Grindstaff, Laura and Stephen Ritter, Hank and Aline Stefano, Kenny West, 10 Junk Stripper Poles, Jessica Johnson, Nick Riker, Christopher Hoover, Kevin Gregory Jr., Evan Irick, Brent George, Wendell Lagash, Logan Nagel, Asa Connington, and Seth Rinderknech.
Yes, thank you so much for the support, and to the OCR Report for being a great home for us on the internet.
And to Will Hicks.
The Podfather, check it out over at theocrreport.com. They had a watch-along party thing for AlUla, which I joined at like
2:15 in the morning.
2:15 in the morning, when I was, drunk in the hotel after the wedding.
And 4 people were sleeping in the room.
Yeah.
And they're like, Mike Stefano, jump on the live! And I'm like, you join that live, Michael Henry.
And I couldn't turn down the volume enough to, that didn't really work out, but that happened. And then to our sponsored athletes.
Javier Escobar, Kelly Sullivan, Ryan Brizzalara, and Joshua Reed.
All right, so for poll results, I didn't do a poll on the podcast Instagram, but I did do a personal one. And I said, I like my bacon, and 76% of people said crispy, 12% of people said fatty, and 12% of people agree with me and that it should be meaty. And I put this up there because I had the best bacon of my life for my new favorite diner of all time.
What was the diner called?
The Red Arrow in New Hampshire.
Yep.
Which is apparently a big Republican place, which I had no idea. But there's that.
Well, it's not a Republican place. It's
like a campaign trail thing.
Yes.
Yeah, for presidential candidates. Trump was there. Not when we were there, but Trump, Kennedy.
Goodness.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Oh, we shouldn't be biased on
No,
the
that's fine.
podcast.
No, I think that's
so you
okay.
like what is meaty bacon?
The bacon that they had there.
It was gross.
It was amazing. It was like meat. It was like a slab of meat.
I like fatty bacon.
I know, that's disgusting.
It's the best kind of
It's
bacon.
not the best kind of bacon.
That's why.
The poll says that it's crispy that people enjoy, and I don't like that either. It falls apart. Turkey bacon. Turkey bacon
Gross.
is meaty bacon.
I will never forget that time your mom made us BLTs and she used turkey bacon and I was repulsed.
Yeah, you put. Oh my god, I'm so passionate about this because you put bacon, crispy bacon in the thing, you squish it down, and then bacon just gets everywhere. You put meaty bacon in there, it's flat. It's perfect for sandwiches.
I love you. Is bacon the superior breakfast meat?
Probably. I don't think anyone would argue with that.
I think it's Taylor ham. But that's very niche.
Very.
I have the first news story if that's what you're looking for.
I'm looking for the meme. Here we go. This comes to us from Inside OCR, and I had made a previous joke, but he made it a visual.
So it's this man hiding behind a tree, and his hands are up, and he's got a deviant look on his face.
I don't know who he is or what this is from, but everyone recognizes, it's the black man in the yellow jacket.
Behind the tree.
Yes.
And the meme says, Joe DeSena seeing Rugged Maniac's email list for sale.
Yes, because he loves to bury the bodies of his competitors, for sure. Getting over to quick news, though. If you listen to Google Podcasts, again, please change to a different podcast app. They are going away, and we don't want to lose you as a listener. Buck Furpy's comedy fundraiser is coming up on March 9th. Oh, God, real soon. In Warwick, Rhode Island. And 2024's New England OCR Expo is going to be on April 20th in West Boylston, Massachusetts. So look forward to that. Caitlin, you take the first news story.
Rugged Maniac posted 6 days ago, "We will miss the mud, but we will always have the memories. Our obstacle course will no longer continue in 2024. If you're already registered for a race this year, please be on the lookout for a full refund."
And this is devastating because Rugged Maniac was one of my favorite races. I haven't been able to do it the past couple years because things haven't been working scheduling-wise, but what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, it is sad. I feel like Rugged Maniac is like a good entry level. It's fun. It's not serious.
Right.
It's just it's fun.
And Warrior Dash being gone, Warrior Dash had gone downhill before the end. Rugged Maniac, to my knowledge, had kind of stayed up in quality. Other than Canada, I heard it sucked up in Canada. I heard that from Dave. But yeah, it's a bummer. And the terrain race with its, I don't know, is it dead again? I have no idea.
I don't know.
There's
you know
no
what
intro
Spartan should do?
What?
You know how Ben & Jerry's has the flavor graveyard?
Mm-hmm.
Spartan headquarters should have the OCR graveyard.
Well, there's articles of that, of who's gonna. It's a
no,
busy
they should
graveyard.
have a tangible graveyard.
Yeah.
Like Ben & Jerry's has.
Where would they put that? Pittsfield?
Sure.
Actually, Pittsfield.
Actually, there's probably those homemade cemeteries in Pittsfield.
Yeah. And more terrible news. Chris Maltby steps down as Vice President of Product for Spartan Race and Tough Mudder. For those unfamiliar, he has been very big in the sport for a long time, both as an athlete, competing in World's Toughest Mudder. And so he's calling it quits after this weekend's Tough Mudder event in Saudi Arabia. So it says here on Inside OCR that Maltby joined the Tough Mudder team 10 years ago and was moved over to Spartan as Vice President of Product in 2023. Less than 1 year later, Maltby is moving on from the company. And I can say this now, I'm not surprised at all. I knew this was coming, and it's a bummer. I'm kind of surprised he's lasted this long because things are the way that they are in the sport today. So best of luck to Chris Maltby, and looking forward to seeing him whenever I see him again in the future. And one more unfortunate news story before we get to some happy news.
Jamie Horonopoulos posted, "I'm just incredibly heartbroken. We had to make the difficult decision to let our sweet Spicer go yesterday. He is the sweetest, most snuggly cat since the day I brought him home for my vet tech program. I'll never forget the day he came home and settled down so comfortably, like he knew he was exactly where he belonged. He would sleep cuddled up in my armpit almost every night. I'm pretty sure he never stopped purring."
Yeah.
That's
so bummer to hear
devastating.
about that. But a swing upwards. This comes to us from Dave Robinson, who we had on a podcast episode a while ago, too. He said, "Y'all meet Frisco, my new partner in chops. # Dutch Shepherd. And look how cute."
Oh my gosh, he's so cute!
I never heard of a Dutch Shepherd.
Can we get one?
No.
Why not?
Are you actually going to do well at World's Toughest Mudder?
Maybe if I stop getting sick from the children I teach.
Maybe.
Kurt Maggot posted, February 24th, 2024, we became the Maggots.
Yeah, he got married to Evie Obeyame, I believe her last name is, or was. Congratulations to him. And I know he's kind of not really OCR related, but he was in the Spartan Games, and he does reply to my messages, so...
oh, I love that.
Cool, yeah. He's was a professional football player or something, right?
Yes.
It's pretty cool. And more news stories. This happened not too long ago. Oh, I guess a couple days ago. I saw that they were teasing this, and I was going to talk about that, but now that they fully released it, VJ Shoes released the new Max 2 and Lightspeed are game changers and will give you everything you need to step up your trail runs. Both models feature VJ's new Superfoamance? I don't like that. Midsole, which offers extreme cushion and energy return with every step. This new foam is a modern, supercritical foam that is lighter, more responsive, more comfortable, and more propulsive than a traditional EVA foam. So these are super shoes. So pretty interesting that VJ Shoes is getting into the super shoe game. I believe these are the first two, but I could be wrong about that. And now we get over to some podiums. Starting with the biggest event, probably the most stacked event that we'll have all year, Tough Mudder AlUla.
Okay, for the men's podium, in third place, Mark Patrice. In second place, Ryan Atkins. And in first place, John Albon.
You need to be able to pronounce his name.
John Albon. Is that right?
Yeah, John Albon.
That's what I said.
Mm-hmm.
And for the women's podium, in third place, Jenka Popova. In second place, Nicole Miracle. And in first place, Elisa Petrova.
I'll take these ones because these are kind of tricky, and I also don't know all of them. But this is the two-person teams. In third place was Egypt Star / Alpine Blitz. Tie? Weird. It says AB... What the hell does that mean? Anyway, Thibault Dubershire and Lucas Kemps. In second place was the Missoula AlUla Hula Syndicate, Tyler Veerman and Chris Brown. And in first place was French team with Thibault John and Gregory Basilico. And for the four-person team, in third place was the A-Team, which was BJ Jones, Nikolai Dam, Manuel Defoe, and Thomas Van Tonder. And second place was AJ Man, which was Sergei Perelian. I don't know these guys' first names, so it's Al-Suwaidai, Anuamai, and Vladar. And in first place was European Elite, Jesse De Heer, Stein Legrand, Pisani, and Prudencio.
And we are still waiting for the fastest lap.
Oh yeah, how the hell don't we know that yet? That's crazy.
I've heard some rumors.
Next up we have Spartan Los Angeles Stadium Race.
For the men's, in third place, Aaron Nolan. In second place, Giovanni Mendoza. And in first place, Joshua Gonzalez.
It's funny, I first thought of Aaron Newell. What happened to that guy? And I'm like, that's okay.
What did happen to him?
It disappeared. He was fed up.
And in third place for the ladies, Haley Brogan. In second place, Faye Morgan. And in first place, Chloe Milkin.
Milkinian. We talk about, I feel like, every episode, kind of like Cassandra Gill before we had her on. And Spartan Jacksonville Super.
And for the men, in third place, Paul Massey. In second place, Blake Jenkins. And in first place, Brian Beal II. And for the ladies, in third place, Taylor Phoebus. In second place, Jordan Housladen. And in first place, Cassandra Gill.
Yeah, see, just speaking of her. And then the Spartan Jacksonville Sprint Podiums, this was the National Series race.
For men's pro, in third place... This is the pro.
Yeah. Yep. I know one name.
Okay. In third place for the men's pro, Ethan Brown. In second place, Mike Strobel. And in first place, Lawrence Taylor.
With no disrespect to them, if you're able to beat Ethan Brown, that's pretty impressive.
And for the ladies, in third place, Casey Monroe. In second place, Hannah Franciosa. Perfect. And first place, Annie Doobie.
Oh, good to see her name back, too. Secret Length is 5 of them down below, so go and check those out. Let's finally get to what this episode's about. Another one of my episode ideas in my list that I've been building over the years is the Gray Betties. So we had Heather Jo Cox on the show to talk about how she came about creating this group for older women athletes, why it's important, and how you can join. So let's get to the interview with Heather. All right, so we'll start off with your name and where you're from.
My name is Heather Jo Cox, and I am from Pottstown, Pennsylvania. I moved to Georgia 5 years ago.
Okay.
It was just the right time where my responsibilities in all areas allowed me to pick up and start a new life in Georgia.
Nice. How do you like Georgia down there?
I like it all except for the heat.
Okay. Yeah, that's what would get me too. I don't do well in the heat whatsoever.
People ask me, why did you move there if you hate the heat? I moved here for my partner, Robert Tretch.
There you go. Okay.
I endure the heat for him.
Yeah, it's funny. I've only done 2 races in Georgia, and I can't really count either of them as warm because they were in November, and it was World's Toughest Mudder both times there, and froze my butt off, but I'd prefer that than baking in the heat for sure.
I've done both here, and I've never had a happy medium. It's either 95 degrees or it's 40 degrees. It doesn't seem to find that sweet spot. So
I always thought New England was like unique for that, and then I realized that's kind of like the whole, like a majority of the country now.
Yeah.
Awesome. So before we get into the group, I want to hear, what is your background in obstacle course racing? How did you come about this sport?
Well, my very first race was a Tough Mudder in 2012. Okay. I actually was playing roller derby at the time, and one of the girls on the team said that her husband had done it a few years running, and she wanted to get a large group of the roller derby team to do the Tough Mudder. So as we got closer, the number of girls that were going to do it dwindled until there were only 3 of us. And the other 2 girls wanted to back out. I was like, no, I paid the money. I signed up. We're going to go do this. And I had never run trail before this. I was a street runner and I had never done an obstacle course. And, I think I wore Asics and I had them taped just like you see all newbies do. And, we went over that first wall, hit that first mud puddle, and I was hooked. It was amazing. It was 12 and a half hours. I did have borderline hypothermia at the end. They had to undress me and redress me because I couldn't function. But I was like, when's the next one? And I had been part of a fitness group, Facebook fitness group, and I had posted, I was proud of my headband and my swag. And somebody on there said, well, you haven't raced until you've done Spartan. I'm like, well, okay, when's the next race? So I signed up for Palmerton. At that time, it was just a sprint in 2012. And I ran open. And once I finished that, the same individual who egged me on to actually sign up told me I wasn't allowed to run open anymore. I had to run competitive. So that year I also did Jersey and I did Killington.
Oh, wow.
So that was my first experience in the OC, I did a sprint, a super, and a beast in that first year. And I raced Spartan up through 2014, and then I branched off, and that's when Battle Frog came on the scene. We all love Battle Frog.
Yep.
And Savage Race, and then other smaller local races. Shell Hill from that was in Vermont was very close to the heart. Broke my heart when they had to close.
Yes.
So
yeah. I never get sick of asking that questions because there's usually a lot of parallels with the whole, like, all right, we had a big group and then it came down to like 2 or 3 people.
Yes.
And I also got my start in 2012 too. So I remember the glory days of the sport for sure. But my start was in Spartan too. And I was actually too afraid to do a Tough Mudder because back then they had they were like greasing up the walls, and I heard about electricity. I'm like, that is terrifying. Like, I'm not doing that. I just did Spartan, but very similar to you. As soon as I got the first obstacle was like mud trenches, and as soon as I got mud, I just fell in love with it. Like something primal woke up, and I'm like, ooh, this is good. It's scratched an itch that I didn't know that I needed itched.
Well, I will say with the Tough Mudder, ignorance is bliss. I didn't actually do the research. They were just like, oh, let's go do this race. So I showed up and didn't really know what I was getting into, which is probably better. I did not get electrocuted that day. They had, I forget, something called eel, and I was able to get underneath the wires.
Okay.
And then at the end, there's pictures of me weaving in and out. I'm not into electrocution, so I haven't done Tough Mudder since.
Most people aren't into that aspect, although there are some that do like the Iron Cross and they stick their arms out and they just gluttons for punishment, I guess. But
I've been told, oh, you can go around it or you can skip it. I'm like, but I didn't pay to skip it.
Yes, exactly. I will say though, your background in roller derby is very unique. I think you may be the first guest that has brought that up. How did you get into roller derby?
Well, I've always been into fitness, and there was a small BYOB in my local hometown, Pottstown, and it was called Funky Little Kitchen. And my husband at the time and I would go there often. And the owner's wife had started a roller derby team in Pottstown. And every time we came in, because she knew I was in the fitness, she was like, oh, you should come out. You should try out. You should just come see what it's about. And I was never wanted to play sports. I've never played sports. And I was I 30 at the time, 31. And she finally wore me down. I was like, fine, I'll go. So I had to go buy a pair of skates because I hadn't owned skates since I was a kid. And, I got the elbow pads and the wrist guards and the knee pads. And I showed up and I made 50 friends first night.
Awesome.
There were 50 girls. And while I'm more on the conservative side, there were some girls that just, they went all out. And, I learned a lot. The exercise portion of it was amazing. We skated 2 nights a week for 2 hours at a shot, and our practices were at 9 p.m. So it was 9 to 11, 2 nights a week.
Wow.
And, I learned how to jump cones. I learned how to, push people over.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was very much a learning experience. Brought me out of my shell, taught me, there's more to life than just working out at home or going outside and running. So
yeah. At the risk of getting slightly derailed, I do want to learn a little bit more about it. How does the sport work? Because most people are familiar with a whole bunch of, badass people going around in a circle and there's two teams, and some people are like slingshotting each other. How do points work? How does how does the sport work?
Okay, so you have jammers and you have blockers. The jammers are the ones that actually score. The blockers are the ones that the jammers have to get through in order to score.
Okay.
So the blockers go off the line first. 10 seconds later, the jammers from both teams are released. The goal is to get through the pack. The first jammer to get through the pack is called the lead jammer or the head jammer. And then you have to come around again. And then every opponent that you pass is a point.
Okay.
So if you're the lead jammer and you get through the pack and the other jammer hasn't gotten through, you can call the jam, and then you get your points and the other team scores nothing. If you don't call it off and the other team jammer gets through, they will also get points. So the idea is to get as many points as you can before the other team and call it. And that's how you score.
Okay. That's fascinating. It's a very niche sport, I feel like. And so
it is.
Yeah.
And then there's bank track and then there's flat track. I played flat track.
Okay.
But I had the opportunity. I had gone to California on a visit, and I was actually able to go and visit a bank track, which was quite interesting. I didn't get on the track because I hadn't brought my stuff with me, but I was able to watch, and it was fascinating. It was another world. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to move here. But I didn't. I stayed where I was.
Awesome. Trying to bridge the two. How would you explain like the community, I guess? Because that's what, great sports are all about. And I'm sure having a niche sport helps find like
the community in roller derby versus
OCR. Yeah.
OCR. Well, with roller derby, it was all female. So, a lot of times, there's cattiness and, in normal everyday life, and women don't always get along, but in roller derby, you all have a common goal, and you guys go out and kick each other's butt and then go have a beer after.
Nice.
So, and with OCR, I don't think I've ever run into anyone I didn't like. It's just everyone has that same, have the same mindset. They want to go out and they want to do something difficult. They want to accomplish something. Everyone has different goals, but at the end of the day, we're all crossing the finish line.
Yeah.
And that's what we want that high from completing something.
Absolutely. And another thing, being in the sport for, as long as I have too, what has it been like seeing the sport change for better or for worse over the years?
And the sport has morphed. There's recent talk about, Spartan changes and that type of thing. But, it was a smaller community back in 2012, 13, 14. It wasn't mainstream. I would explain it to people and they'd be like, what is that? Now you can say Spartan or you can say Tough Mudder, and a person who's never done it knows what you're talking about. So I do miss that smaller community. I miss being beaten at the end of a Spartan race by gladiators. I will say that was fun. It's good to see the sport grow and to see more people interested. My concern is that it oftentimes then will get watered down. And, because you're trying to please the masses, and I get that, you need volume in order to make money.
Yeah.
That's why they're in business. But, I like that unique quality of different obstacles each time. They're not afraid to change things.
Yeah.
Don't get into that cookie cutter rut that, that's disheartening.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to 2012, back then, I believe, because I still have my shirt, it was before it was sponsored by Reebok. It was Dial for Men, I believe. That's what the shirt had
Dial
on it.
was an early sponsor. They were definitely a lot smaller sponsors.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I know I don't have my shirts from then. I have my lanyards. I made my lanyards into a basket weave.
Ooh, that's cool.
Wall hanging I have it downstairs in the basement with my workout stuff. So, the medals were simpler. I think the lanyards were just black, like there was nothing on them.
Right.
Everyone had their number written on their arm.
Yes.
Like that's how the number was done.
Yep.
Your arm, your leg, across your forehead.
That's how you can find your pictures and everything. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I will say from a technology perspective, that, you don't have to wait 2 weeks for photos, which is nice because, you have that high right after and you want to see, what you did in the action. And, by the time that photos came out, you were on to the next thing, or at least I was.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say the technology piece is nice.
Yeah. And back then too, I mean, there's obviously Tough Mudder Spartan and the big brands, but there were like small ones popping up. And I feel like at least in New England, you could do like a race every weekend. It was insane. Now they're more harder to find. What do you have any local races by you that are still pretty good?
Well, Barbarian is
That one.
is an annual race that is beloved.
There we go.
Where I'm going to be doing Tuscaloosa Gauntlet in Alabama on March 23rd. So it's running the same day as Savage in Georgia.
Okay.
But Savage has more options. The Tuscaloosa Gauntlet is once a year. So I will be there instead of Savage.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of other Phoenix race. I'm not sure. Beyond the April, there's an April date. Her Murder Creek, Julie White Wolf is the owner of Phoenix Race.
Yes.
And her Murder Creek run is in April. So I'll be there as well.
Wait, where's that one?
Don't put me on the spot, aren't you?
Sorry. I'm just like, I've heard of that race. I've heard good things. I just can't place where it is.
You know what? Without looking at it,
Totally
I think Murder Creek is, because she has one in Georgia. She has one in Tennessee. I believe she has one in Alabama. I think Murder Creek is Alabama.
Okay. Yeah, because I know
I'm
she's
not
like going
100%
around like
sure.
resurrecting a whole bunch of kind of like dying OCRs and stuff like that. So Phoenix Race has been huge with that.
Yeah. So, and there's always something different. There's always something new. Jason Fye is a little evil in a good way.
Yep.
So you're never disappointed. There's always something.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's get into the group. So you're the creator of the Gray Betties. Tell us what's your origin story? How did the group first get started?
Well, I will bring up Gray Berets because that was the impetus for creating a female group. The Gray Berets have been around longer, and there were some women in the OCR community. They were like, well, I'm older. I want to join, and they were like, no, men only, blah, blah, blah. And being the founder of Gray Beret's partner, I was like, you know what? I'll create one myself, and I made it 40 plus because number one, I was just over 40. And I found that in the OCR community, the number of older women is less than the number of older men.
Yes.
And I know that women like to have that feeling of belonging, that community that, you don't necessarily want to roll up to a race by yourself. You're, whether you're 25 or 45, it always feels good if you know someone, just like my first race, I didn't do it alone. Oftentimes you're not just, oh, I heard about this, I'm going to go off and run this race by myself.
Yeah.
So I wanted to build a community or a place where like-minded women over a certain age felt that they weren't alone, that they could share a love of a sport or be introduced to a sport with other women that are like-minded. So a lot of our Gray Betties, they don't run as often. They might run a race once a year, but they also are running street races. They're doing triathlons. They're doing adventure races, awesome. Bicycling, any type of sport.
Yeah.
And we want to bring all those women that, are doing physical activities together.
Yeah. I think it's great because you think of Joe Descendants have always been very public about ripping X million people off the couch. Well, that includes youth, older athletes, men, women. So I think it's all the more reason to have a group where people can feel like they have some kind of belonging, other than like the overall OCR community, like, oh, there are other badass older women doing this. I can do this too. And kind of reducing the barrier to entry. So I think that's vital, right?
Yes. And part of, being part of the Gray Betties is not just, okay, you get connected with other women, but we also do the nickname aspect of it, which takes me back to roller derby a little bit, so you have your different persona when you're on the course, it's almost like your armor. It's your alter ego, whatever you want to call it. And you don't get to pick your own nickname. Just like in roller derby, the team or people in the team come up with your name. So if you want to join Gray Betties, we actually do recruitment in June and December. And if you apply or if someone on the team or the group gives me a name and I reach out to them, I send them a little blurb letting them know what the group is about asking them for a biography, who they are, how they want to represent themselves. And then we have a smaller subgroup, the nickname group, that, comes up with really cool, badass nickname. And then it gets put on the back of the shirt. Like,
that's fun. See,
so,
Betty. Yep.
Kind of, that's what they came up with for me, which was fine because, I did found the group. So that works.
Yeah.
But, going back to roller derby, I mean, I have a love of shoes, and my roller derby name was Manolo Bionic. So instead of Manolo Blahnik, if you're familiar with designer shoes.
No, not really, but.
So, but Betty's a lot shorter. It's a lot simpler.
Yes.
It works.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's what would someone like? What are the qualifications of you talked about like 40 and over? Like, what are you looking for in like a member that's interested in joining?
I'm looking for we're looking for members that are interested in being active. It's as simple as that are looking to connect with other women in the sport or in sport in general, and they're over the age of 40.
Yeah, they
do need to agree to respect all other women in the group. They're not there to solicit for their own personal benefit. It's really someone who just wants to belong.
Yeah,
they want to connect and they want to race. They want to meet other like-minded people. So it's not that difficult to join. You just want to be interested and participate.
Yeah. And when you first started it too, were you thinking of making it focused on like being a local, like in-person group, or were you already thinking ahead and thinking you wanted this to be bigger, like an online community?
Online, definitely. I had run, this is prior to obviously Gray Betties. I'm also a competitive bodybuilder, and prior to COVID, I had created a group called Prep Squad, and I had over 1,200 members, and I had members all across the world, like-minded women in the same vein, but in bodybuilding. And, it was an amazing community. Now, I wasn't thinking that grand a scale for Gray Betties, but I would love to see women who would like to join, from England, from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
If they so chose.
Yeah, no, I like that. So you mentioned how you have like 2 periods where you go around like joining and stuff. How does like the recruitment process work? Like how do you try to reach out to other women and stuff?
Well, normally it's word of mouth, and it's current members having already spoken to other women during racing or in their own community. And, then they reach out and express their interest.
Nice. Is there like a financial cost, or how does that work?
We do have an annual dues. Annual dues are $45. We don't just collect it and sit it in an account. When you come on board, you get 2 tank tops, you get a wristband, temporary tattoos, and stickers. And then each year we decide on a certain type of swag. So it's not, the money's not just sitting around. Nice. You're getting something for what you're putting into it. Yeah, that's it's not just a let's put this over here for just in case.
Right. That's nice.
We want you to wear swag to show other people, so other people are interested, and then it continues to grow.
Exactly. Like it's going to the purpose of expanding your group and helping other women as well.
And I know I feel a little differently when I put my swag on. I'm like, you just, it's almost like a coat of armor.
Yeah.
You feel different.
Yeah, you really, really adopt that like weekend warrior lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely.
What have so how has like expansion of the group been over the years? I know 2020 was a difficult year, but like
we didn't start until 2021.
Okay.
And I think the first round of ladies, I think we had 20 to 25. We have I think we have 55 right now. Okay. And there's some women, they join and then they decide, okay, I'm not racing anymore, or I'm going a different direction. So we have had some turnover, women that decide, okay, I've moved on. That wasn't really my thing, which is fine. Right. The only constant thing about life is change. Yep. So, and the door is always open for anyone if they said, I'm not going to race anymore. I don't really want to be part of the group because I'm not contributing. I always let them know you're welcome to come back anytime.
Yeah.
So, it's not for everybody. But there's always that new person that super excited about racing and wanting to, join and do something new.
Yeah, no, that's important. And what have been like your favorite stories of people like kind of coming out of their shell and finding this community and seeing a difference in people?
Well, I would say, if you look at the women that are part of the group, they have all overcome something in their life, whether it be something physical, something mental, health wise. We have so many cancer survivors and their stories are all so inspiring. They didn't let life get them down. They didn't let life get in the way, and it shows me how strong we can be.
Yeah, it's good because that's what I love most about the sport too. It's pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, and for some people, it's just running a mile or signing up for like a Spartan sprint, which could be like a beast in comparison to how
Yes.
it feels to other people too. And yeah, it's gives people like a purpose a little bit too. And so like when you're battling with cancer, like something to look forward to. I know that when I first got into the sport, I was in college and like I was working borderline full time, going to school, and like I needed something fun to look forward to. And whether it's that or something more important to your life, like cancer and stuff like that, it's nice to see people pushing through and finding the sport as a way to do that.
Yeah, I always found, especially early on, I'm a race and roller. So I would drive 8 hours or 9 hours, get out of the car, race, get back in the car, drive home. I've never had the ability to, get a hotel room and stay, and it just wasn't in the cards for me. So if I wanted to race, I had to drive and come home.
Yeah.
And at the end of a weekend, after you've done all that, you're like, I did that. So going to work and dealing with the little problems at work was easier because you had accomplished so much more already. So I have found that racing helps deal with those things in life that normally might seem bigger than what they are.
Yeah, that obstacle immunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. And what would you consider success for this group? So like looking back on the grand scheme of things, like what would you see like, I feel successful with this group?
Just the camaraderie, the ability to share and to feel like you have a safe place to talk, to communicate, to vent. I've always encouraged the women, whatever's going on in your life, whether it be sports related or personal, we're here and it's a safe place. And I found that, it is a very tight knit group. Now there is a smaller group that's tighter. We have those that are newer that haven't come into that deeper fold. But I feel as a whole, it's a community where we can share and feel safe and grow together.
Yeah. In terms of expansion, you said that you live in Georgia, so I assume that the bulk of people in Georgia, but like what are some other locations that you guys have members in?
We have there's people in Florida, there's people in Alabama, in the surrounding states. We have people in Ohio. I should have pulled up my address list. We did have 2 members in Canada, but they've changed what they're doing as far as sport. And we have some up and down the East Coast. We haven't expanded out west, but I'm hopeful. So it's just a matter of word of mouth, and we don't do advertising per se. Right. It's just people see us at races, and we talk within the community or people that we know. So
speaking of other sports too, hybrid racing has definitely picked up in popularity, almost kind of to the expense of OCR too. Is Great Betties going to solely be OCR? Is it also kind of thinking about like we can
No, Great Betties is sport across the board.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I actually just did a race and roll to Florida and did Native X.
Yes.
Which is the fitness obstacle race. I loved it and hated it at the same time.
Yeah.
It was quite brutal, but I don't know that I wouldn't say that it's taking away from the sport. I think we need different avenues to travel.
Yeah.
We don't want to get stuck in one rut. Not to say that, we don't want to do Savage, we don't want to do Spartan, we don't want to do Phoenix. But I think, it's an ever evolving, changing sport, and we need to be open to that.
Yeah.
I've also done a DECA.
Okay.
I did the DECA strong. I didn't do running on the DECA portion, and it's capturing a larger audience. You have people that like to work out and they don't want to get muddy.
Yep.
I mean, I like to think of these different hybrids having a wider arm to bring in more people to make that greater community. Now, I'm a lover of fitness. I love working out. My alarm goes off at 3:45 every day, and I can't wait to get to the gym. So I know I'm not, I'm probably not the majority in that, but I see it as a greater way to get people healthy and get people fit.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned mud as being a barrier, and I completely agree. But also running too, like the deck is strong. There is no running, machine to machine to machine, and it's like, all right, I'm thinking about doing a little bit of running. All right, do the deck.
It's 15 to 20 minutes of pure push. Just so
I see that being like a great link between like people that just gym rats and CrossFit people that I don't run, but I like to to move heavy stuff. You work exercise equipment, but like having that slow like on ramp to like you could do. Because I would be on the opposite side. I'd be more interested in a deck of fit because running is, I mean, I'm not great at anything, but I'm better at that, I guess, than the strength stuff. And then I can work my way down and be like, oh, I'm more into lifting. Like my wife, who we've gotten to OCR together, and she's found more of a love in like rucking, and she loves moving heavy stuff, and she feels badass in that way. And for me, I would just like to go for like 24 hours and not like move heavy stuff, but just keep moving and have those mental battles. Yeah, you're right. It's good to have more options for everybody there.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Back in the day too, I remember that there was prize money for like masters athletes. Do you think like that stuff would ever come back for OCR?
I'm thinking probably not. I mean, to this point, they've, I hate to say, gotten away with not, providing prize money for the older athletes. And, if I podium as masters, I'm not mad that they're not giving me money.
Fair.
Because it's not my livelihood. This is a hobby. I'm not dependent on that check to do my next race. And at least what I've seen as far as Savage is concerned, they have upped the bar, on some of their obstacles, specifically the rig. So you want that money, you got to earn it. And you do need to be at a professional level, to hit that podium.
Yeah.
And I might be a pro bodybuilder, but I wouldn't consider myself a pro obstacle course racer. I run elite, I run competitive, but I know I'm not at that level. So, I came in first in masters, but it's not the same.
Right. Fair.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know some people, okay, you're over 40, so maybe you can't be as athletic as the people that are in their 20s. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
One name, Heidi Williams.
Yes, I was thinking of her. I was thinking of Manuel Defoe, who's older too, as a guy. Yeah.
So, you want to win money, train harder. I mean, that's just where I'm at. I wouldn't say that you need separate money for masters. And I'm speaking as a master.
Yes, yeah. I just think back to like the glory days of the sport. I'm like that's something that I feel like most people don't realize was a thing back then. But something that looking forward, starting this year, they're going back to the regular like age group awards in terms of like the overall winners will be the winners, just like Savage, just like a road race.
Right.
How do you feel about that change moving forward?
So it's only going to be overall, you said?
So instead of choosing to race age group or elite, everyone races whatever like their speed is, and then the top three, say like Ryan Atkins takes fourth place, he's first in his age group instead of just like completely different results now.
Gotcha. I mean, I don't really have an opinion on it. I mean, isn't that I thought that's how Savage Race worked though? It is
how Savage Race works, but Spartan's finally going back to, because they did that like
okay, so you're talking about Spartan specifically, because I'm like, wait, doesn't Savage already do that?
Yes,
so I'm completely comfortable with that, because that's what I'm comfortable with where Savage is concerned.
Yeah.
I have not raced a Spartan in quite a while. For many reasons. Cost is one of them. Yes. I have found that their entries are prohibitively expensive, at least from my pocketbook perspective. And, I'm not overly enthused with the obstacles that they have.
I'm with you too. Yeah, I've done all of the locations. I think back in 2017 at the jacket somewhere, I did a quadruple trifecta. So I did like all the races I was interested in that year. And then I'm like, all right, nothing's really, I mean, a few things have changed. There's like Olympus has a new material and this and that, but I'm like, I'm not around Spartan too much anymore either.
Right.
But Savage,
I mean, I know that, they're appeasing the masses and they now have trifecta weekends.
Mhm.
Personally, if I'm giving 150% to one race, I'm not going to have a whole lot left for those other two.
Yeah.
So is it just to get the medal? Like, I'm happy with racing once in a weekend,
Yeah, totally fair.
but I give it 150%.
Mhm.
If I was racing three, I'd be splitting my efforts, which I don't know that would. And I'm speaking not from a pro athlete perspective.
Which
Now,
is-
obviously, Ryan Atkins could go out and do all three races and not break a sweat.
Probably.
So,
Yeah, that's a good point. And then, in starting to wrap up, where can people find out more about the Gray Betties online, how to, apply, and when that application time period is?
we do have a Gray Betties page. You can message directly if you just type in Gray Betties and send us a message. I don't have it on the page itself when recruitment is. Normally, when messages come in, I respond and let them know when we're recruiting, and I always follow up at that time.
Yeah. And I will say you responded very quickly too. You just happened to be on your phone.
Well,
"Damn."
I happen to have it open
Yeah.
to the Gray Betties message because I don't, unless I get pinged, I don't just go in and randomly check them, but I happened to open it and there it was.
Yeah.
So it was fake.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of the growth of this. I think this is something that the sport needs. It's great to see a whole bunch of fit young dudes on the start line, but it's better to see a good variety of people out there, and it can change a lot of people's lives. It's changed mine, and yeah, looking forward to see the future of the Gray Betties.
Most definitely.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Heather Jo Cox, for taking the time to come on the show. Really looking forward to seeing what's in the future for the Gray Betties.
Also, thank you, Michael Henry Stefano, for taking over that interview. I was supposed to do it, but I was gravely ill, and I could not say a sentence without hacking.
Yeah. Well, last episode, you're like, I wasn't that sick. I'm like, yes, you were. It was terrible. Before the wedding, I didn't fall asleep until 2 a.m. because...
I was so sick. I didn't realize how sick I was.
Yeah.
Until now, I'm feeling better and sleeping through the night.
Actually, I'm realizing now that I was awake for a full and complete 24 hours. Good roll some Mudder training for that. For related episodes, these are just some older women. I don't know if they're eligible to join the Gray Betties, but some names that came to mind were episode 269, Heather Golnick on Jacksonville, Spartan Age Group Series, Iron Edge, and more. Episode 284, Spartan Puebla Beast in Mexico with Alex Walker. 334, Rose Wetzel on Longevity and Sport, Being a Mother, Spartan Big Bear 3K, and more. And episode 339, Noob Sanity's Last Man Standing with Esther Frustrino. Would you kindly go and check those out?
Subscribe and follow wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Instagram at Obstacle Running Adventures and the Facebook.
Yeah. You can support us over on Patreon for as little as $2, as many as $10. A great way to show support financially there as well.
Coming up next.
Yeah, I plan to either have an episode on Tough Mudder AlUla, because it's the only thing happening right now, or Rugged Maniac, which we could kind of do a farewell episode to them. Or there's someone else that was interested in coming on the show too, who's also a farewell episode too. Times are tough right now. Caitlin, do you have a joke or a quote?
I've got both. My quote is from Louise Kaufman, and she said, "Perhaps we should learn to love ourselves so loudly it silence our insecurities." And then my joke is, why do pancakes always win at baseball?
Why?
Because they have the best batter.
Oh, there it is. That's a pretty good one.
All this breakfast talk, my favorite meal of the day.
All right, well, that just about wraps it up. My name is Michael Stefano.
And my name is Caitlin Ritter.
We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening.
If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe to our show and write us a review on your favorite podcast app.
You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook and connect with us there.
Most importantly, we would appreciate it if you shared an episode with a friend so we can reach more ears.
Then continue to effectively shine a light on the people in our sport, as well as the events that we are so passionate about.
Our intro song is Streaker by Straight Up, and our outro music is Iron Call by The Best.
Before we get into it, again, I don't know if I told you, but I had I've been in the show for a while, and I've always had like a potential like future episode list. And Gray Betties has been on there for years. And so I'm finally glad to finally like shine a light on you guys because I think it's awesome what you're doing.
Competing in World's Toughest Mudder. Oh my god, you're terrible at shutting the door.
I listen to that. I listen to that outro every single week, and I don't know if I even got the tune.
Probably not. How's that hair in your face? What is it even connected to? Ah, look at that.
Did I tell you one of my kids asked me why I had that ugly thing on my face?
Oh, yeah. None of my kids said that, which is good. We have matching ugly pimple. Yours is scabby.
Mine is scabby.
Gross.